All right. Get my soda opened up here. Get a drink real quick. I think we're all good. I got the mic plugged in this time. Well, I've been on a streak. I've had the mic plugged in the last several times pretty good. It was only really once or twice that I failed at that. But still, I'm not going to let you guys forget that I made that mistake, I guess. Um, Let me get disclaimers out of the way. We'll jump right into it. This is a weekly live broadcast pretty much every Thursday evening at 8 o'clock Central Time is when we're doing this. Sometimes things get in the way, not able to do it. This will be the last live broadcast before QuailCon. And then I've got a family reunion later that week. So I'll be gone for 2 weeks, basically. I'm not going to be able to do a live broadcast for the next 2 weeks. We'll pick back up after that. What else? Okay. So no topic planned. I do my best to respond to every chat that comes in during the live broadcast, the live chat itself. If you have a question, leave it in there. I'll probably get to it. I very seldom miss them. If you see me answer somebody's comment that came after yours, go ahead and ask it again. But it takes me a little while to get through the chat, so be patient with me. Give me some time. Ask me anything. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about, but keep it family friendly. Be polite. Don't be hateful with anybody. We can have a disagreement. I like a good debate, but we still need to be friendly with it. We still need to be friends. Just because we have differences of opinions or maybe disagree on something doesn't mean we need to be hateful with each other, call each other names, any of those things. So don't do any of that. We'll have to kick you out. Other than that, it's pretty much all free games. So let's see what we can do to get through the introductions real quick. There's Verna, as always, the first one here, the first like, the first comment. Thanks, Verna, for joining us. We appreciate that. Don from South Central Illinois, the third like and second comment. I appreciate that just as much. Thank you for joining. And David says it is hot in East Central Oklahoma. It's hot everywhere right now. David, it's August. I mean, it's the way it goes. Yeah, it was a Monday with the heat index was 120 degrees. It was, I think the real temperature was like 101 or 102, but the heat index was 120. It was miserable hot. And I don't usually complain about the heat. Since then, it hasn't been as bad. It's only been like 110, 106, heat index. But the 120 was rough. Humidity's come down a little, and that's helped a little bit. It was 101 degrees today, I guess. It was hot. But we do have some hope coming. The weekend's supposed to cool off. It's only supposed to be Saturday's supposed to be like 99 degrees, but Sunday, 86, I think, is the high. And then, for the foreseeable future, as far as the forecast goes out for the next 4 or 5 days anyway, high in the mid to low 80s. So that's great. That sounds fantastic. Hey, there's Ed. Ed Got Baits here. Good to see you, Ed. Andy Rabbit, good to see you. Let's see. I'm getting through everybody saying hi to each other, which is good. There's James Carter says, good evening, Chris, from East Central Mississippi. Good to see you, James. Thanks for joining us. Berna says that it is 84 right now with a feel like of 94. Wow, that sounds pretty good to me, honestly. It is way hotter than that here. Yeah, inside your apartment, it's 90 degrees, though. That's a little hot. Yeah, inside my house, it's not 90 degrees. We got the air conditioner running. James Carter says, got 6 healthy baby rabbits that are 6 days old. Well, fantastic. Congratulations on that. Hopefully they're handling the heat okay. That can be a little bit rough on them sometimes, but the adults usually handle it okay, but sometimes the babies really kind of struggle with 100-degree plus temperature. And Dawn says it's 90 here right now and it's horrible outside still. I could take 90. 90 is not that bad. Dawn says, anyone in high humidity question, are your quail eggs kind of sticky when you collect them 6 straight day in a row? And mine all are. I've never noticed that they were sticky when I'm collecting them. We have pretty high humidity. But then again, everything's sticky out, so I just may not have noticed it. I mean, the humidity's high right now, so, you walk outside. You guys know. I mean, you guys are in Oklahoma, Mississippi, all those places. You guys have high humidity. You know what it's like. It's like you go outside and you just start sweating instantly, and it doesn't evaporate. It just runs off of you, and everything is sticky. So maybe I just didn't notice. I don't know. Andy says, well, she's talking to Verna. I'll let you talk to Verna. Hey, there's Buster. Good to see you, Buster. Thanks for joining. Let's see. Dawn says to Verna, I get out of the shower and step outside and I'm soaked through my clothes again. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's almost like, why even shower during the middle of the day anyway? Just wait till night and shower when you're going to stay in. Yeah, it's one of the, you can't dry off completely when you get out of the shower because humidity levels are so high. I know it's kind of miserable, but hang in there. We're almost through it for the year. Andy Rabbit says, Don, remember to remind tomorrow, and I'll check my eggs and tell you. Tell you if they're sticky. Yeah, well, I guess. I mean, give me a second here, guys. I'm getting through some comments. Hey, there's Joy Guthrie says, hello all from Western Oregon. Have 70 chicks so far out of a German pastel batch of auction eggs. Hey, that sounds pretty good. Congratulations on your hatch. Glad to hear that went well. Jennifer says, good evening, everyone from East Tennessee. Good to see you, Jennifer. Thanks for joining us. Let's see where we at here. And then Andy Rabbit. Okay, you're talking to somebody else. I'll let you do that. S.O. Swanson, 16 in chat, 9 likes. Well, we can't have that. Well, we're up to 23 likes now, so we're getting on board. But thank you for the reminder on that one, S.O. Swanson. I always do appreciate that. The likes do help if you guys enjoy this content. If you like coming in, my videos, the likes do help get it out there to more people. I appreciate it. S.O. Swanson says, Mississippi Delta in the house. Yeah, we were just talking about hot and humid. I imagine you know all about that. James Carter said, let's see, going to put about 30 quail eggs in the incubator tomorrow, doing a dry hatch again. Yeah, it's the time of year where, I don't know where you live exactly. I know we've probably talked about it, but I don't remember. But it is that time of year where our humidity levels here anyway are pretty high, and I can get away with doing dry hatches no problem. Now, when I go into like fall and winter and the humidity levels start dropping, it starts becoming real dry out. Basically, when I have to start using lotion on my hands to keep them from cracking and bleeding, then I have to add water to the incubator. The dry hatches don't work anymore. But with the high humidity, no reason to, do it. Good luck with it. I hope it goes well. Andrew says, hey, all from Fairbanks, Alaska. There we go. Thanks for joining us. I didn't even try on your last name. I think I got it right last time, but I'm not going to attempt it and get it wrong this time. So anyway, thanks for joining us. Appreciate that. Let's see. David Lister says 37 jumbos going from grow out to Wynola cages tomorrow. 60 eggs going to lockdown on Monday. Well, good luck with your hatch. I hope that goes well. Oh, I do have a confession to make. I don't know if you guys remember last week. It just reminded me for some reason. Don't know why. But last week we talked about snakes in general. We just talked about snakes kind of, and I was talking about how we had a great big black snake that was coming around the property, and we saw him go underneath the deck, and he's great to have around to keep the rodent population under control. Probably never see him again. I did see him again the next day, the very next day after I said snakes are not like other predators. They don't usually hang around. He's not bothering anything. He got into my brooder. He ate 2 or 3 maybe of my baby quail that were in the brooder box. And then he couldn't get out because he was too big around to get out. So I was moving them all out to the grow out pen that day anyway. And it was kind of cool out that morning. He wasn't moving around much. He tried to crawl out the hole in the brooder. There's a hole that big in the side to run power cords through and stuff. That was the way he got in, I'm sure. He tried to crawl out, couldn't get out. He got stuck. So I had to come back in, and then he just laid there in the bottom. And of course, he'd already eaten, so the birds are running all over him. And snakes don't just kill things to kill things. They only kill to eat. So he didn't even budge for them. Didn't bother him a bit. He wasn't bothered by me getting in there and getting all the birds out of the brooder box. Thought about catching him and relocating him. And I thought, he's 4.5, 5 foot long black snake, about that big around. He's a good sized snake. I didn't really feel like getting bit by him. Because they're not venomous. It's not really a painful bite, but at the same time, one that big, might break the skin. I'm on blood thinners, so I just didn't feel like messing with him. I just thought, well, I just opened up the brooder and let him out, let him go do whatever you want to do. And he can't get into my outside hutch. Well, I say that now, he'll probably get in there tomorrow and eat some birds. But anyways, so far he hasn't been able to get into the outside hutch. I just wanted to tell you guys, I was wrong. Sometimes they do come back, but I haven't seen him since then. I don't think I'll ever see him again. Who knows? I don't mind having him around because of the rodent population here. Also saw in my garden, we were out picking day before yesterday, I think it was, and I heard something rustling in the leaves under the pepper plants, and got down there, and I thought for sure it was probably a snake because what else would it be? Everything else would have run off. So I got down there and parted everything up. Sure enough, there's like a 3.5 foot long garter snake. Great big for a garter snake. They don't get very big, Western garter or Eastern garter snake. I can't remember. I get them mixed up which one's which. It was a checkered one, I can't remember which one it is. Yeah, he was, he was trying to act all intimidating, had his head all flattened out because he was scared of me and all. He's good to have around too. He's big enough to eat mice, so I'm happy to have him around. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys that update that I was wrong. I sometimes do get things wrong, but it'll be all right. Just lost a couple of birds, not that big of a deal. Andy Rabbit says, Don, I have a hubby spray. I've had hubby spray my eggs the week I was saving for a hatch, and I've also had them get wet from rain. Still had high hatch rates both times. Just let them dry and didn't wipe them off. Yeah, I don't know. I missed that conversation. I must have anyway, because you guys were talking to each other. I tend to skip over those if you call somebody else's name out in the beginning, just because try to get to everybody. And I figure if you're talking to each other, then that's fine. You can talk to each other. But yeah, if they get wet, it's okay. Like you said, don't scrub them. Don't wipe them off. Just let them air dry and they're fine. There's Jesse Mills. Good to see you, Jesse. Says, good evening to everyone. PJ's Family Farm says, hello, I'm here on time. Well, I honestly didn't even know you were late last time, or, well, I guess you probably told us last time. I don't know. But either way, you know the deal. We don't keep attendance. It's fine, but I am glad that you made it. Good to see you. Andrew says, putting my last batch for the season into the incubator tomorrow. Should be about 70 to 80 eggs. Well, good luck with your hatch. I hope it goes well. And I know up there in Alaska, that's probably cutting it pretty close, but we got a little bit of time before the end of our season here. I don't know how many more I'll hatch yet. Verna says, sound and look good, Chris. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Scrap 5000. So what's up, everybody? Greetings from New York City. Smash the like button. Thank you very much for that, Scrap. I appreciate it. Let's see. Andrew says, can you put eggs straight from being laid into the incubator, or should they wait a day to rest? You can put them straight into the incubator if you want to. I mean, it's not bad practice either way to let them wait a day or put them straight into the incubator. If it was me collecting them up, I would probably go ahead and just wait overnight and then go ahead and put them in. Just give them time to kind of calm down. But that's just me. But you could do it either way, honestly. You'll probably get the same results either way. Verna says, are you excited for QuailCon, Chris? I am, actually. Yeah, looking forward to it. We got just next week, heading up there next Friday, and we'll be there Saturday, Sunday, drive home Monday. It's going to be a busy weekend. And then I've got a family reunion later that week, so I'm off work for the whole week and going to a family reunion. So I got a lot of things planned. It's going to be busy, but it's going to be good. Let's see. Scrap 5000 says, only in 2 weeks with no crack. I'm gonna have serious withdrawals. I think you're talking about. I won't be able to do a video or a live for the next 2 weeks. Yeah, sorry about that. I can't imagine I'll be able to get it. I was gonna say I might try to do one the Thursday after QuailCon, but that's like the day the family reunion starts. I probably won't be able. I can just say now I won't be able to do it. I'm sorry. I'm going to be tied up with family I haven't seen in a long time, and I need to spend time with them. Vernon says, Andrew, do you need to let Andrew, you don't need to let your own eggs rest. Yeah, I agree. You don't have to let them rest. You can definitely put them right in. Spider Riva says, hello, Quail community. Hello to you too. Thanks for joining us. Hey, there's Carrie, my sister. Carrie Quattlebaum says, yeah, 2 weeks in a row, I'm making the live broadcast, the best sister ever. Yeah, my sister, she's a pretty good sister. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say the best. No, she's probably the best ever. She's great. We get along great. We've always had a good relationship. My family, I always, we've talked about this, my sister and I both. Growing up, I didn't realize that not all families didn't get along. I mean, my family gets along. Like my best friends are family. We go on vacations together. We do all kinds of things together. That's just we've always gotten along. We've always had great relationships, and I didn't realize not all families were that way. We're very, very lucky. Andrew says, "Oh, and off topic, go Steelers." Okay. PJ's Family Farm says it's not hot in New York. Yeah, well, it is down here in the, I mean, like I said, Missouri's not really southern, but almost southern. We're very close to being southern. And it is hot here. Don said Monday it was 122 heat index. Yeah, we had the same thing here. Verna says, Chris, here the humidity has the feel like 10 degrees higher than the temp. Yeah, it's the same here, at least 10 degrees. I mean, it was higher than that Monday. It's come down a little bit, but it's still plenty high humidity. Don says, oh, crap, tomorrow 101 degrees and 110 heat index, hotter than today. Yeah, I don't know where you're at, Don. I don't know, we're about the same tomorrow, probably 101 degrees, something like that. But then, like I said, Sunday on, it's looking pretty good here. Andy Rabbit says, oh, Chris, that it has been hot, and my big tree over the rabbits dying makes it even hotter back there this year. Oh, yeah, that would be terrible. I imagine they're having a hard time. PJ's Family Farm says high was 62 and a low of 59. Man, that'd be just cold right now. I mean, with, adjusting to all this heat and then drop down to 62-degree high, that'd be chilly. Let's see. Kobe Stone says, good evening. Godfather, I think it says. My rabbit urine is bloody. What do I do? Are you sure it's bloody? Because chances are it's probably you're seeing red or like orangish colors in the urine. That's probably just pigments from the food. That's a pretty common thing, and it's a pretty common mistake to assume that it's blood in the urine. As long as they're eating and drinking just fine and getting around okay, they're not acting lethargic or any of those kinds of things, it's probably just pigmentation from the food. And I know you're not feeding them red food necessarily, but there are pigmentations in, there are things in that food that would lead to red pigmentation, leaking into their urine. It's not a problem at all. It's nothing to worry about. Let me know if I'm wrong. I mean, if you guarantee that it is blood in the urine, we'll talk a little bit further about it. But honestly, if it is actually blood in the urine, it probably signifies a urinary tract infection of some kind. You need to get some kind of antibiotic, go to like a farm supply store or something like that. But again, I doubt that that's the case. Actually, it's probably just pigmentation. I did a video on that a long time ago. Actually, it's a pretty common thing that people always think it's blood because you're seeing red in the urine, but it's just pigmentation. Andrew says, I'll take my weather. It's 60 here. Been beautiful and raining a lot lately, but mostly all the fires in the interior of Alaska out. So it's very good weather for us. Yeah, that doesn't sound terrible, but it would be cold to me right now because, I can't go from 110 to 60. That's a little chilly. In fact, we've got a smart thermometer or smart thermostat on our house. So it kicks it down to 70 degrees, like late at night, early morning, so that it's nice and cool when we wake up in the morning and it's not hot. And I've had to adjust it up because I get up in the morning, 70 degrees feels cold. Spider Reva says 90-ish here in Florida with high humidity and rain. Yeah, you've actually probably got, depending on what part of Florida you're in, you may actually have higher humidity than we do here. I've been there. Like Miami, it's, oh my gosh, you step off the plane in Miami and you just can't hardly breathe. The air is so thick and heavy. Yeah, Andy Rabbit, I think, is hitting on the same thing. Kobe, she says, is it blood or is it orangish red? So James Carter says, hello, we have about 6 more days of 100 to 100 degree temp here in central Mississippi. Yeah, we've got a break coming this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Probably going to get out there and process the last couple of rabbits I have. Get them done before I go to QuailCon. I need to get the yard mowed. I gotta do quite a few things before I head out. And I'm waiting for the cooler temperature. Square Body LT says, hello from Albuquerque. It's probably 90 here, getting about 6 to 8 eggs a day from the 10 chickens. Well, that's not terrible. That's all right. That's pretty good. Ty says, good evening from North Georgia. Good evening to you too. Thanks for joining us. Dave Martin says, cheers, everybody. Oh, I scrolled and lost that comment. There it is. Cheers, everybody. First time here and a future quail guy. Been enjoying all the videos. Well, thank you so much. Actually, I apologize. I haven't put a new video out in the last couple of weeks. It's been about 3 weeks since I have. I just kind of run out of topics. I got a good topic idea. You guys gave me one. I just haven't got out there and shot it yet. It's been kind of crazy and hectic, but I'll get back on track and get it done. Tony from Toronto, good to see you. Let's see. I'm skipping a bunch because we got a whole bunch of everybody talking to each other. There we go. Kobe says my rabbit's urine is bloody with a question mark. I think we already addressed that actually. So we'll see if there's another response to that. Let's see. There's Silver Creek Aquatics. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Andy Rabbit says sometimes there's a different amount of minerals in the feed. Yep, for sure. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, please tell me you ate the snake. No, I did not. I left him there. He serves a good purpose. I don't know if I took a picture of him, you guys. I don't know if it'll show up on here, but he was a big one. He's one of the biggest black snakes I've seen in a long time. Let's see. How do I blow this up? There we go. I don't know how well that's going to show up. If you guys can see that. There he is. Big black rat snake. Stretched all the way across the brooder and back. You can see maybe the lump down there by his midsection there. That's my birds. But, he's just eating. He's just doing what snakes do. Take those birds out of the way, and he's going to have to eat the mice. Because I did see mice in there the other day, and we've caught a couple in the house the last couple of days. Not the last couple of days. It's been about a week and a half since I've caught one. Miss Kitty says, hello from Utah. I put 2.5-week-old babies, 4 of them, with old birds. First olds were cautious of babies. The old cornered the baby. Now all happy. Yeah, I put my babies out there with the, I moved them when the snake was in there. I went ahead and just moved them while he was in there. I just worked around him and moved them all out to the grow out hutch. And I have, much older birds, like a year and a half, 2 years old, and that are getting ready to be processed. And then I had some grow outs in there that were probably around the, I don't know, 8 to 10 week old mark, somewhere right around in there. And at first, a couple of the males, they're a little bit excited because they're basically teenagers, they came after the new birds a little bit, like wanted to breed with them a little, and then they just quickly gave up on that, and everything's fine. No problems. Verna says it would have been a good meal, Chris. The snake, yeah. I don't know. I didn't feel like messing with him. I just let him be. Let him help keep my rodent population down. Spider Riva says, how do you guys feel about putting your quail on the ground for part of the day in a hutch adapted for that case? Well, Verna says some people use aviaries, so that is fine. The only thing I would say is if you're moving them around, like moving them from a hutch to the ground for part of the day and then back to the hutch, all that moving them around is probably going to stress them out a little bit. They don't really take to change very well. So I would worry that it might affect your egg production. Now, if you had a hutch that you could like open up and let them out of it, then that would be okay, I guess. But how do you get them back in without I don't know. You could try it out and see. It may not be a big deal. It may be one of those things that they get used to moving pretty easily, and then you don't have any problems. But just expect at least for probably about a week or two, your egg production is going to drop after you start doing that. And again, then give it about a week or two and see if they get used to that and then start producing again. But that would be the only concern I would have about it, really. Hey, there's Jupiter. Good to see you, Jupiter. Says, hey, Chris, hope you're doing well. I am. Hopefully you are too. Says, let's see. I know you heard you mention diatomaceous earth before, but can't remember what you use it for. I don't use diatomaceous earth really. It can be used for like insect control. It's basically, it's not a pesticide, but the way it works is it causes abrasions on their exoskeleton, which then causes them to die. But in that sense, it's like a broad spectrum. I mean, it's not specific to one species. It basically takes care of everything, insect wise. So you can use it for like mite control and those kinds of things if you have it. There is some concern because it is, very dusty, that it could cause respiratory issues in birds. There's lots of people that use it though, and I just don't find it necessary, so I don't. So but you could definitely do it if you're going to do it. Get food grade, and it's fine. You can use it if you want to. Let's see. Dave says, I rarely see predators. In the week I finally decide on quail, a big hawk visits. Yeah, we've got hawks that live in the backyard. They there's a tree back there that they have a nest in. There's always hawks around here, always, all the time. I hear them every morning, they live back there. Like I said, they're here all the time. And I've had only one time where they tried to get to my birds. And I think it was probably a young hawk that had just hatched out not too long ago. He was hanging on the bottom of the hutch trying to grab them through the bottom of the wire, maybe for about a day, 2 days. And then he just gave up and went on, and haven't had any more issues with it. Verna says that 40 watching, only 31 likes. Come on, people, show Chris you appreciate it. We're up to 45 likes now, but we got 70 people in here now too. So we got a big group here. Let's see. We got some people talking to each other. We got Cheryl Beck says, I love all your great information you provide here. 43 eggs taste so excited. Planning on making some pickled eggs. Just hatched out 40 new quail 2 days ago. Well, awesome. Congratulations on that. I'll tell you, the best thing to do with pickled eggs is throw them in the trash, because those are not good. I'm just kidding. If you like pickled eggs, make them, eat them. I've tried a couple of different times. I made a couple of different recipes, and I didn't like any of them, really. They weren't good. Just, I don't know. It's something weird about them to me. Maybe I just don't like them. Maybe I had bad recipes. I'd be willing to try them again, but the ones I tried, I did not like. There's Michael from South Florida. Good to see you, Michael. James Carter says, my chickens are saying, dang it, Daddy, why too hot to be laying any eggs? We may fry them as we lay them. Yeah, never thought about that. Yeah, I imagine that it is a little bit stressful for them, so they're probably slowing down, but you'll get a break from the heat here soon, I'm sure. Luis says, how to pick out jumbo brown males. Are you asking me, like, how do you tell which ones are males versus which ones are females? If you've got jumbo brown quail, the males will have an orange chest, just kind of an orangish tint to their chest, and it's solid. The females will have speckled chests, and it tends to be lighter, like a cream colored with black or brown speckles all over their chest. Pretty easy to tell the difference once you know. I've got a video that I did a long time ago on how to. So you can go back to my channel, or here I can probably find it for you real quick. They'll show you how to tell the difference. Let me see if I can find my videos. Give me a minute here. It's going to take me just a minute. And there we go. Hang on just 1 second. I'm getting there. There we go. That's the one. Look at that. I found that one pretty quick. There you go. There's a video on that one. There's a link in the chat there. You should be able to find it. Hopefully that answers the question. That's what you were asking me, I think. Spartman says, finally able to chat. I've been listening, though. Not a fan of the heat and humidity here in northeast South Dakota. So, yeah, no, I get it. It's always hard time of the year for sure. I don't know. Has it been hotter than normal there in South Dakota, or is it just pretty much normal? It's been, I don't know, the last week was probably hotter than normal, but for the most part, it's been a pretty normal summer for us. I keep hearing the news talk about the climate crisis and how bad this summer, how brutal this summer is, but it's been a pretty normal summer for us. So I don't know. Maybe it is everywhere else. I don't know. Creative Soil says, I ferment my quail poo. It makes great fertilizer. Yeah, well, it does for sure. I compost mine. I don't know how you go about fermenting. You add water to it and let it sit in the water. That kind of nasty, isn't it? But yeah, it does make good fertilizer. It is a little hot in the sense that it's got very high nitrogen. So if you don't, break it down somehow, what composting or I guess fermenting the way you do it, then it can burn your plants, give them too much nitrogen. But it is it's just like chicken manure. It's a great fertilizer if it's composted. Where are we at here? Is that Hi? The username is Hi. Says I'm never home to watch these. Well, hey, I'm glad you could make it tonight. Got me with your username there for a second. I wasn't sure if it was part of the comment or your actual username, but glad you could make it tonight. Lexington says too many greens. If blood is in the urine, my rabbit experiences the same. Too many greens should not cause blood in the urine, but I get what you're saying. Too many greens would more than likely, if that was an issue, it would cause diarrhea, especially if you made like a very quick transition from like pellets to greens. You never want to shift their diet that quick. Rabbits are fairly sensitive when it comes to diet changes. So if you're feeding them pellets and you want to switch them over to eating greens, or you want to start introducing greens to them, give them small amounts at first and gradually build that up. Don't just do a whole bunch all at once, make a drastic change, because it can cause some problems. Blood in the urine is not usually one of those that would be associated with that. But it could cause, it could contribute to like urinary tract infections, depending on what kind you're feeding them. But I don't know. I doubt that that's the case. Maybe. Bob says, hey, Chris, in the past 2 weeks, 2 of my 19 quail stopped moving and died within a couple of days. All the other quail are drinking, eating, and acting normally. What do you think may have caused this? Oh, who knows? I mean, it's darn near impossible to say for sure. I get these questions all the time, Bob, and I'm not trying to be a smart aleck or anything like that, but if you raise animals, sometimes you're going to have them die, and you just don't know why. I mean, I lose a bird every once in a while for just there's no apparent reason. Can't figure out why. My advice is it's 2 birds. Everything else is fine. Don't worry about it too much. There could be hundreds of different reasons why they died. They may have had, hang on, let me see who this is messaging me. Okay. They could have had an injury of some kind that got infected. They could have had an injury that caused their death. They could have been startled. It could be heat related. Probably not, but it could be. There's all kinds of things. It could have just bad genetics and, leads to sudden. There's just so many things. There's no way for me to know for sure. You could take it to a vet and find out. It's usually not an issue, not something to worry about. And the way I look at it is it takes them out of the gene pool, kind of survival of the fittest kind of thing. So I wouldn't worry about it unless you have multiple issues with it. G. Michael says, hey, Chris, hope you had a great day. Thanks for sharing your quail and rabbit knowledge. By the way, you're less than 900 to 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, I haven't actually checked that in the last, it's been a week or two, but I knew we were getting close. That's exciting, isn't it? Never thought I'd hit 100,000 subscribers. I guess I need to start doing some more videos or I won't. But we'll see. Let me see my dashboard here. We'll see where we're at here. Yeah, we're at 99,157. We had 594 subscribers in the last 28 days. So another month or two, we probably hit that. That is exciting. I'll have to do something for you guys when I hit 100,000 subscribers. I'll figure something out. I'm not sure what yet. Maybe we'll give something away, an incubator or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Jesseline, I think it is. Hopefully I got the name right. Says, I have a question. What do you do if my mother bunny doesn't want to feed her babies and you have to force her to feed them? Any tips? Okay. Let's address this. First of all, how do you know she's not feeding them? Just because you don't see her doing it doesn't mean she's not. Rabbits are pretty protective of their young in the sense that they don't, in the wild, they don't pay any attention to their babies except to feed them. And that's kind of a protective instinct to keep predators from finding their nest and, eating their babies and those kinds of things. So just because you don't see her actually doing it doesn't mean she's not. Chances are she will only feed them in the middle of the night when nobody's around, and you'll never see it actually happen. It's very rare that you ever actually walk in and see the rabbit actually feeding her babies. Most of the time she acts like she's just paying no attention to them. So just because that's happening doesn't mean she's not feeding them. Now, if you're sure, absolutely positive she's not feeding them, if they were looking like super scrawny and starting to get lethargic or something like that, the babies, they're not all squiggly and kind of fat and happy, then you could, like you said, force feed them, hold her down and force her. You can try bottle feeding them, and that's incredibly difficult, in my opinion, to do. Rabbits, if the mother doesn't take care of them, it's really hard to get them to survive. But if you do have to resort to that, you want to go and look for something like a kitten milk replacement or a goat milk replacement. And a bottle with, nipples small enough, you're going to have to feed them a couple of times a day. It's a lot of work. In my personal opinion, and this sounds cold-hearted, I don't mean this in a bad way, but I would just let nature take its course. Hopefully she's taking care of them. If she doesn't, then that's strike one for her. If she's a first-time mom, give her another chance. If you have 2 litters like that and she doesn't feed them and you end up losing the litters or whatever, then it's time to look for another rabbit. You don't want to have to go through this every single time. So that's the way I would handle it personally. But, you can do it however you want to. But again, I'd be surprised if she's not feeding them. It's very, very rare that a mother completely abandons her babies and doesn't take care of them at all. You just won't notice her taking care of them. She just does it when nobody's around. You're not going to see it happening. Hopefully that helps. I'm sorry if that sounded, like I said, cold-hearted or mean or something like that. I didn't mean it that way at all. But Abba Love says, one of my quail had a big patch of feathers missing. He wasn't bleeding, but 2 days later, it looks like a scab is covering. Do you know what causes that? There could be a number of different things that are causing it. It could just be molting. I mean, they look kind of ruffled up altogether anyway. That could be the case. If you have really low protein in your feed, it could be that some birds are pulling feathers to eat them because feathers are pretty high in protein. So sometimes that will result if you have like a really low protein level in your feed, but it'd have to be like pretty low, I would think. Like I would say below 20% protein. And when you say there's scabs, it looks like scabs covering it. It does sound like maybe some feather pulling is going on, which could just be the normal, establishing dominance and the pecking order and all that kind of thing. If it's not like, if you're not continuously seeing like fresh wounds or anything like that on him, then it's probably nothing to worry about. But there's a couple of different things that could cause that. My birds, I've got a lot of them that are molting right now, so they kind of look the same. They don't usually get scabs where their feathers are missing. Usually that's a sign that, that there's some, the birds were picking on them or something like that. It also kind of depends a little bit on where the patch of feathers is missing from. Usually when my birds are molting, they're losing the feathers on their back mostly, sometimes on their chest, but mostly on their back. It seems like it's where they lose them when they're molting. So I don't know if that helps answer that or not. Ask again if you need to. If you need some further information on that, we'll readdress it if we need to. Let's see. Hi says, hi from Sydney. How to treat blood on quail feet. My female jumbo has injured her foot somehow on the wire. She's not limping at all. You probably don't need to do anything about it unless it's like a super bad bad wound, wide open, it's getting infected or something like that. Most of the time, they're just going to recover and heal up just fine. I would try to figure out what she injured her foot on in your cage and try to fix that, because what you can run into, especially if they're getting wounds on the bottom of their feet, is you'll end up with like what's the word? Anyway, an infection there. I can't think of it. What it is? What is it? It starts with an N. It's right there on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it. Anyway, they'll end up with an infection on their foot and cause bumblefoot, and that could be pretty serious. That you need to, that can cause them to die basically if they get a serious infection. And if that happens, you'll need to make sure you dig out whatever it is in there, get the infection out, soak it in Epsom salt, bath. Maybe put some like Blue Coat or an antibiotic ointment on it. Don't use one with pain reliever. But if it's just like a scratch on the top of their foot and she was bleeding, it's probably going to be fine. You probably don't need to do anything other than just fix whatever caused the issue where she got injured to begin with. Hopefully that made sense. I didn't get too jumbled up there. What is the name of that? Anyway, somebody will get it right for me. Don says, I see the lump in the snake. Yeah. Yep, that happens. It happens. Andy says, that's a big snake. Yeah, that's one of the bigger black snakes I've seen in a long time. Usually, I see quite a few, but very seldom do I see them over like 2.5, 3 feet long, something like that. That's a big one, but he can eat a lot of mice. Jaslyn says, my bunny isn't feeding them on her own. We have to help her feed them. Okay, I think I already addressed. I know you put that comment before I gave my answer. So if there's something else you want to talk about, you want to, dive further into it, let me know. I gave you a couple options there. Hopefully I helped you out. Andy says, hello from Romania. Wow. Says, I'm usually in the Kansas City area. Oh, okay. I was thinking, still, you're in Romania right now. That's interesting. What would make you go to a Romania? I'm kind of curious. Well, I'm not that there's anything wrong with that. I've just, at a vacation spots, I've never thought of Romania. It might be cool though. I know. But thanks for joining us all the way from Romania. So Tara says, hello everyone from Gilroy, California. I hope everyone's doing well listening tonight while prepping for QuailCon. So excited to see everyone and teach about raising quail and aviaries. Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing about it too. I'm sure I do not have any, aviary experience. So I'm be curious to hear about it. Hi says QuailCon. Yes, QuailCon. It is next Saturday and Sunday, the 2nd and the 3rd in Miamisburg, Ohio at My Shire Farm. let's see. Verna posted a link there to QuailCon, so you can go there and check it out. Andy Rabbit says, you may never see a rabbit feed her babies. They only feed once or twice a day and normally never in front of you. Yep, I agree. That's the same thing. I say that I agree. Yeah, Jaslyn says, I'm tried using a formula, but it's not working. Yeah, it's a tough one, I know. But again, how do you know she's not feeding them, I guess is the question we're asking. Is it just because you're not seeing it happen? I mean, how do you really know she's not feeding them? That's what I'm curious of. There's RBL Jackson. Says, what's up, y'all? Well, not much here. Hopefully things are going well with you. Creative Soil says, I made a quail tractor. I drag it around my garden. Awesome. Do they, I'm kind of curious, do they get stressed out about that tractor moving, or do they continue to lay like regular? Are they used to it? I'm kind of curious how that would work. Jaslyn says, any tips on why she steps on them? That's not actually that abnormal either. When they get in there, sometimes they will step on the babies, especially first-time moms. They're just, it takes them a little bit to get used to it and a little bit to figure out what to do. Some of them take to it a little bit quicker than others. If this is continuing, like if you know for sure she's not feeding them, I would look for a different rabbit, or, maybe give her one more try. But, that's not, you don't want to have to deal with that all the time. That's a sign of bad motherhood. Stepping on them, it's not as bad as it sounds. It's pretty normal. Anyway, I don't have a whole lot of tips to keep her from doing that. Some of it may just be, I don't know if this is your first time raising rabbits and this is your first litter with rabbits. Maybe it may just be first time jitters on your part that you're a little bit maybe overly concerned with it. Hopefully that's not coming out rude. I don't mean it that way at all. When I first started raising rabbits, those were all kinds of things that, my very first litter, I was concerned about too. I was really worried about, but you kind of get used to it after a while. And I found that if you just leave them alone, most of the time, everything works out fine. And if it doesn't, then I know that's not a good mother rabbit and I replace her. But that I get that it may not be the best thing for you to do. And unfortunately, I don't know what else to tell you other than you can try formula. If you can't, it's very, very hard to do. So if you're not getting them to eat formula, it's not your fault. That's just it's very hard to hand raise rabbits. If the mother's not taking care of them, they're very unlikely to survive, unfortunately. Hi says, wish there was a QuailCon in NSW. What's NSW? You probably told me where you were from, and I don't remember now. Oh, wait, Sydney, right? You're in Australia, aren't you? Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's a long way for everybody to travel. I'm sorry. Start one up. You can do it yourself and get everybody from Australia to go. We've got a couple of viewers from Australia that join in. James Carter says, Andy Rabbit, I have yet to see a doe feed her young babies. Yesterday, though, she was going to attack me as I was making sure her babies were still alive. Yeah, I've caught them once or twice, maybe. Not very often at all. I mean, it's very, very rare. Old BD1 says, hello from Southern California. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Lexington Felix says, goat's milk with a tablespoon of creamer to feed the baby rabbits. Is that what you're talking about? That might work. Andy Rabbit says, but if you do have to help her, don't put the mom on her back. It's not natural for her. You will have to keep her upright. Babies only latch for a second or so and then move. Babies only latch on for a second or so and move. They look like they aren't feeding, but they move a lot when feeding. So, okay, keep that in mind then. And Dave says, I think the hawk was watching the sulcata tortoise. Really? I didn't know hawks would eat a turtle. Yeah, Verna's got a link to the cookbook that has pickled egg recipes in it. So who was looking for those? I don't know if anybody was or not. Jupiter says, Chris, I know you're not a cat person, but we started using diatomaceous earth on our outdoor cats for fleas and ticks, and it took care of the fleas within 2 days. I'm impressed. Yeah, it would work for that kind of stuff, and that's That's kind of how I think about diatomaceous earth. Use it when you have a problem you need to correct. Other than that, I don't bother with it. And we have used it before on, well, we had a bed bug problem. It didn't work. We tried diatomaceous earth. It didn't work. We had to call what do you call them? A Terminator, a pesticide person. I'm having a hard time with words tonight for some reason. We had to call somebody in, exterminator. There we go, an exterminator to come in and get rid of them, and that took care of them. But yeah, we tried the diatomaceous earth at first. It may have helped, but it didn't get rid of them completely. Andy Rabbit says, odds are if you bottle feed baby rabbits, they will not live. Yeah, it's very unlikely to get them to survive unless the mother's taking care of them. RBL Jackson says, processed and air fried 7 quail last week, and the wife made pickled eggs. They are air fried. Oh, they air fried quail were good, but I've got to try something different next time. Overcooked, I think, and not enough flavor. Yeah, I've never had too many issues with sorry, I got distracted there again. Never had too many issues with quail not having flavor. It does seem to have some flavor, but yeah, you may have to season a little bit more. You may try brining it too. That might help a little bit. It's a very lean meat, so I would worry about it drying out a little bit and getting a little tough. But you live and you learn. Try it. I've never actually tried air frying it, so maybe experiment with that a little bit and see. Lexington Felix says, if you have enough hay for her to burrow. I don't know what that means exactly, but okay. Spartman says, let's see, the last few weeks have been hot with the heat dome. All the humidity is stuck here. I could not make it in the South. LOL. Yeah. Well, it takes some getting used to. You adjust to it. You acclimate to it. But yeah, it's a change. It's definitely different environments for sure. So and Tara says, Jasleen, I'm so sorry to hear this. I went through this with bunny kits and ended up losing them all. I've heard it's really hard to keep them alive. I wish you the best of luck. I do too, as well. Let's see. Jocelyn Hamlin says, hey, just noticed you were live streaming. I just wanted to tell you that you were one of the people who made me start raising quail. Thank you for introducing me to raising them. Well, you're welcome. I thought that was going to be like, you're the person that made me do it. Dang you. And no, you're welcome. I'm glad that you find the videos helpful. Thank you very much for watching them and for joining the live stream tonight. Jupiter says, to RBL Jackson, I found I have to brine my quail for a couple of days in the fridge, and then they're super tasty. Yeah, brining them will probably help a little bit. I don't know I don't know, 2 days or several days seems like a long time for a little bird. I would think 12 hours or so maybe would be plenty, but who knows? I haven't tried it. You've tried it, so you might try that. Andrew says, hey, I'll gotta book it to make dinner. Hope everyone traveling next week has a wonderful time and travel safe. God bless. Thank you. You have a good evening too, and have a good dinner. Scrap 5000 says, anyone from Hawaii or British Columbia? Everyone's safe. Pretty odd how these fires seem to just swoop in out of nowhere. Man, that one in Hawaii was terrible. I guess British Columbia too. I don't know. I know about the wildfires up in Canada, but that one in Hawaii, I saw in the news this morning there were still 1,100 people missing. It's incredibly bad. And that thing was moving at like 80 miles per hour, they said. I just can't imagine. It's terrifying to think about. So prayers for all those people there for sure. James says, let's see, if you have a small brooder with about 30-something quail, I had 4 die because they would huddle up in one corner. That usually means and I've had that kind of thing happen too, but that usually means your brooder is a little on the cool side. You need to warm it up a little bit. If you warm it up, then they'll kind of be spread out and meander around. When they get cold, they kind of huddle together, and then the ones in the middle get trampled. Yeah, that's usually a sign of that. Granny says, blessings to you, Chris, and all. Pretty much only thing good about the heat is I have to turn off the heat lamp. 5-day-old quail chicks are getting too hot with it on. Well, yeah, I guess you can save some energy that way, huh? Andy says, I turn the heat lamp off on my babies too. Yeah, I use a temperature controller for my heat lamps. It's what's the brand name of that? I've done a video on it. I can't remember what the brand name is right offhand, but it's like a thermostat basically. You plug your heat lamp into it, and it's got a temperature probe, and it shuts it off if it gets up to 100 degrees or whatever. And it stays off most of the day and comes on at night. It's just automatic, so it's pretty nice. Spider Reva says, Chris, my quail are for egg consumption. What will the expectancy for a female quail to lay eggs and to be processed? So, well, you're going to get eggs out of them for a long time. The difference is after a certain amount of time, the egg production starts to slow down. So you won't necessarily get an egg a day out of them forever. The common wisdom is right about a year to 18 months is probably the best egg production. I've had birds for a little over 2 years, and I do notice that they do start to slow down a little bit after about a year to a year and a half, somewhere right around in there. But they do continue to lay after that. It's just you're going to get your best production out of them, like an egg a day for about the first probably 12 months is about the most is what you're looking at. Lexington Felix says, sometimes it takes a day or two for Mama Rabbit. If so, the kitten milk replacer with heavy whipping cream, warm off a cotton swab Q-tip. So there you go. That's a good idea. Carrie says, give away an incubator for sure. My sister. Yeah. Well, I might. I don't know. We'll see. Verna says, Jaslyn, if she doesn't have a nest box, then yes, she will step on them. Sometimes they step on them in the nest box too, though, Verna. I mean, it's not uncommon. And especially if there's a lot of commotion going on, like somebody else said she got scared and jumped on them, that very well could be the case. If you're making her nervous, if you're around there a lot, she's going to be moving around a lot. She doesn't know what to do. She's going in to check on the babies. She ends up stepping on them. I mean, it happens. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, anyone else's rabbit water nipples corrode quickly, therefore start to leak after only a few weeks or months. Thinking of making and selling high quality brass stainless if there is interest. There are brass ones out there. You can get brass. I think the ones I have are brass. Mine do corrode eventually, but it's not like within a couple of weeks. It takes a lot longer than that. But yeah, you're right. The cheaper ones, they do end up corroding eventually. Probably I usually get at least a season out of them, and that's probably about most of it. Yusuf says, hey, how are you? I'm doing well. Good to see you, by the way. Hopefully you're going to be at QuailCon this year. We'll get to meet up again. Dave says an incubator would be awesome. Well, I'll think about it. We'll see what we can do. Steven says, hey, Chris, longtime fan of the channel. All I can say is this man is a national treasure and is very helpful for everyone living this life. Thanks again. Well, that was very kind of you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You're going to give me a big head. Sage Wolf, good to see you. Says hello to everyone. Andy Rabbit says, I noticed the nipples seem to leak more during warm weather. I think they get more algae due to the heat and brighter long sun during the day. That couldn't have something to do with it. I haven't had big problems with my, water nipples leaking, but, I don't know. I only have like 4 of them set up, so I don't actually have any of them set up right now. But in the past, I've had 4 of them set up, and I never have too many problems with them. But that could, the algae maybe, if the algae is growing in there, it could definitely affect the seal on them or something. And it could also be, if you're talking about it leaking like around where the nipple plugs into the hose itself, that may be heat related as well, because that tubing gets pretty soft when it gets hot, and it may be leaking right there too. I mean, that's a thought. Creative Soil says, I need a rheostat and a thermometer for my homemade incubator. I have over 30 eggs. Yeah, Verna got it for me. Staph infection. That's what I was trying to come up with earlier. I couldn't come up with it. But anyway, you got it. Thank you, Verna, by the way. So, yeah, I don't know where to recommend. I don't know which ones to recommend for a homemade incubator, unfortunately. Maybe somebody else has a good suggestion. I haven't actually built an incubator for myself. Well, when I was a kid, my grandpa built one, but it was very crude, but it worked for chickens. But don't know. I don't know a good Govee thermometers are pretty good. I think that would work well for a thermometer, but as far as the rheostat, I don't know, honestly. Dave says, is it good to have a quarantine cage for injuries? I'm assuming we're talking about quail. It's not a terrible idea, but here's the problem. Okay, there's multiple issues when it comes to injuries with the birds. One is, depending on how bad the bird is injured, sometimes the other birds will see that as weakness. They'll go after them because they are injured. I haven't had huge problems with that. The other thing is, if you remove that bird, put them in quarantine for a while, and then go to put them back in, they're probably going to get the tar beat out of them, because quail are very territorial, and they're going to see that as a new bird entering their territory. So I don't know that it's the best practice. Quail will recover from incredibly bad injuries. I mean, I've had birds lose an eye. I had a bird lose a leg, hopped around on one leg forever, was doing just fine. I thought about culling him, but he seemed to be getting along just fine. I've told this story before. I kind of got visions of, the Monty Python and I'm not dead yet kind of scene, and felt like, well, there's no reason to cull him. He's getting around just fine. He's eating, he's drinking. He doesn't look like he's in pain and suffering. So, and he was fine for a long time. He did just fine, no problems. So, they usually will recover. And sometimes I think it's best to just leave them in there, unless they're to a point where honestly, I personally don't see any reason to do a quarantine cage, because if they're at the point where they're like not able to get around and not able to move, and they're getting overly picked on by the other birds because of that or whatever, I usually would just call that bird, and it's a meat bird at that point for me. But that's just the way I would handle it. So you could do it either way you wanted to. That would just be my only concern, like I said, is when that bird heals up and you try to put it back in, you may have a hard time doing that. Let's see. Yeah, my sister got it. She said bumblefoot is a staph infection. I'm sure she is very proud of herself for knowing something I could not get. But you're right. You're right. It's a staph infection. I couldn't think of the word staph infection. Thank you, guys. Andy says Romania visit is to build dorms for Ukraine refugees. That is a fantastic thing to do. I'm very glad that you're able to do that. Thank you for your sacrifice there. Still continue to pray for all those affected by that terrible war, and hopefully it doesn't get any worse. So and Tara says, Dave, unless it's a potential disease issue, if you have one you want to separate because it got hurt, I would recommend to have your hospital cage in the same area as your birds to keep it together. That's probably a good suggestion, like maybe a cage within your main cage. That's probably a good suggestion. Abba Love says the food has 30% protein, so it's not and it's not molting. They're only 5 weeks old, but they have started crowing and trying to mate, so it may be the male dominance thing. It probably is. I'd watch it for a couple of days, and if it gets worse, if you start having additional problems, then look for the bully, remove the bully if you have to. But chances are it was probably just a like you said, they're just establishing, getting their pecking order in line, and you're probably not going to have any more problems. It's probably fine. Let's see. Scrap 5000 says Chris, Romania for Dracula's castle. Yeah, maybe. Boy, we're just about out of time. We got like 2 minutes left. Let me scroll through the comments. Let's see. I may not get to everybody's tonight. There's one here. This is Bedrock Boy says, hey, I just hatched 7 quail, but 3 died to straddle legs. How can I prevent that in the future? Okay, there's a couple things you can do. First of all, let's address your brooder, and I don't know if you'll have time to respond to me. So I'm going to give you the best advice I can. Hopefully this will be okay. I only got like a minute or two, and I got to wrap this one up. But check your brooder. Make sure you don't have something slick on the floor, like newspaper or something like that, because they need to be able to get traction on the floor. Now, I use blue shop towels on the floor of my brooder. That's going to help quite a bit with that. If it's a slick surface like newspaper or just plain plastic or something like that, then they can't get traction and they can't get their legs stretched out and build those muscles up, and they end up with the splayed leg thing. The other thing is, a lot of the times your late hatches, your birds that hatch out really late, are going to have those kinds of issues because they struggled to get out of the egg for so long. That could be a low temperature issue. Maybe your incubator, if they hatched out late, check your temperature in your incubator. It may be running just a degree or two lower than what it actually says it is. So get you a couple of thermometers, make sure they're accurate, throw them in your incubator, verify that your incubator is actually running the temperature that it says it's running. Because it's, a lot of times that's what causes it. If you have a lower temperature, it takes longer for the birds to hatch. They hatch a little bit weaker, and then they don't have the strength to get those legs stretched out and get them working. So that could be that, or it could be poor genetics, but kind of doubt that's the case. Hopefully that kind of helps with it. Those are the couple of things that you usually can do to address that. Let's see. Vampire quail. There's Jocelyn again says the baby bunnies are 2 days old and there are 5 of them. I've had bunnies before too, but they were never pregnant. Thank you for all the help. No, you're absolutely welcome. Like I said, I wouldn't stress too much. Give them a little bit of time, see how they do on their own. They're probably going to be okay. I hope that they are anyway. And come back and let me know if I'm wrong if you want to, and you can call me all kinds of bad names if I'm completely wrong. But that's the way I would handle it. All right, guys, I got to wrap this one up tonight. So thank you guys for joining. We'll see those of you guys that are going to be at QuailCon. Look forward to seeing you there. Make sure you come up and talk to me. Tell me hi. Let me know who you are, because I don't get to see faces. I won't get to see your face. So you're gonna have to remind me who you are, and we'll see you there. Other than that, we'll see the rest of you guys back in about 2 weeks, whenever I get back on the live stream and get back from vacation. So, all right, thanks again, guys. Everybody have a great night. God bless each and every one of you, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.